Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to the Frostbite tribe. In the last episode, 5 of our creatures began their journey over to the Killer Island ports, though unfortunately our efforts were stalled by a big, nasty snowstorm. The aptly named Blizzard Baby way back here actually had quite a bit of trouble making his way through all of the snow, and all of the cold too, because despite how menacing he looks with his big spiky body, it doesn't do much to keep him warm on the mountainside. So without his parents traveling right by his side, he was having trouble keeping his energy up, and that's why we spent so many days traveling through all of the snow trying to get him down to the shore. Now we're in a situation where we do have a very low food supply, and I think it's probably going to take him maybe like 3 more days to get to the ports. Probably at least 3 days, so it is quite likely that some of the creatures we're leaving behind might need to take a hit for the 5 that are going to the Killer Island. We're still going to try our best to find food for them to eat though, and of course, as luck would have it, we found our very first walrus deer back here right next to poor little Daisy, who froze overnight, so she can't even do anything about it. She can't chase this guy into the waiting arms of a Goji and Violet and the newest little baby to grace their nests. Right before Fang passed away, she did actually have a baby with Goji, and one of you suggested that maybe she would name him after her long-lost brother, since she was trying so very hard to reunite with him. She actually mistook Goji for her brother to begin with. So we'll name him Nip, right after the Nip on the other side of the island, so Nip the Second. I think she would be very, very happy to know that this baby was able to take on his name even after she passed away. Now we need somebody to stay next to him. I'm not sure if it's still cold enough on the island to cause our creatures to lose energy if they're not all huddled together, but I think we're going to have to send Violet away to try to find some tasty roots. So we'll cross our fingers that she won't lose any energy while she's off on her own, but she desperately needs to find some food to feed her newest little brother. So let's see if we can find any roots out here. I mean, I think these little green plants are just the twig bushes, and it doesn't really seem like there's anything in the area that she can dig up, which is probably because she spent so much time early on digging them up to begin with. So why don't we move her over here down the shore so she can at least sit inside the hot spring if she needs to? Unfortunately, she can't collect the shells either because she doesn't have the nimble fingers, but maybe if we could spy something out here, something for her to eat. So far, I don't see anything at all. Why don't you at least dig out some of the snow? It would be excellent if it did start to warm up, because then the snow would at least melt on its own. Right now, we kind of have to dig through it before we can move any of our creatures to those tiles, and that's why we're having so much trouble moving poor little Blizzard, who actually has quite slow movement speed to begin with through the pathways that we're making. So let's have Rala jump all the way down here so that she can clear out the snow for us, and then move out of the pathway to give Blizzard a little bit more room to move. I suppose Nip could do the same. We can just shovel the way as clear as we can possibly get it, and then I think he can at least make his way down to the shore this time. There we go. So he is finally at the shores, and I would suspect it's probably going to take another 2 days for him to actually set up on these ports. Maybe if we're lucky, he can maneuver himself there on the next turn, but let's prepare for the worst and keep trying to find more food out on the mountainside. Do we have any little bunnies that we can get to maybe? Or even any roots on the side of the island? Oh, I do see one right in there, and that means that Silver should be able to grab it with her digging paw. Now let's at least have your family follow you too. Since Jasper is not going to be going to the new island, he could jump way over here and try to help dig out his mother perhaps. They could make a little pathway up the mountain so that hopefully they can get to any little bunnies that might be hiding in the snow. Though it seems like most of them have probably hopped away. Oh, we do have one way back here with our deer. It's awfully hard to see where it actually is in all of that snow, but I think it's on this tile right next to the hot springs. So if only we could find a way to bring these creatures up a little bit closer to Daisy, then maybe we could unfreeze her so she can at least do some hunting. Though it does seem like the walrus deer might also be making pathways for us, so that's a pretty good thing too. Let's have Goji at least move a little bit up the shore so he can pick up some of the twig bushes. That'll help us out, especially as we're moving islands. We probably want to make sure that we have enough nesting material at least to make one nest there. They are going to need to repopulate the island pretty fast, especially because it took quite a while for Blizzard to get here to begin with. Let's bring a Topaz down to the shore. She's been spending a lot of time with their new leader after all, learning their mission, so hopefully she'll be able to take off the leeches because Thorn is a little bit busy at the moment. He's been traveling with his little brother Kindle and with the sweet shy Doe. Doe is actually going to be, I guess, the head collector of the island, where Blizzard is going to be the head warrior, clearly with all of his spikes. Thorn has grown quite attached to Doe though, so I don't think he wants to leave her side if he can help it. But it looks like they do have some crabbits in the water that they could potentially take down, so let's have Doe move over this way. Let's see if we can at least reveal the crabbit so we know where to move, and then Kindle could go around the crabbit so he can hopefully help slap him from behind. Thorn could actually jump way over here so we can get the first hit in, and hopefully this is going to be enough. Yeah, since they're so strong, they can take out these crabbits in just a couple of hits, and then that gives us quite a nice little selection of food to eat too. You know, when we get to the next island and Doe starts starting her own family, maybe we should place the nimble fingers in the mutation menu. That way, hopefully her babies will be able to not only pick from the berry bushes a little bit more efficiently, but also pick up all of the shells that they can find in the water. Unfortunately, the crackerjaw has, I think, completely died out in our tribe, so even they aren't able to pick up all of the shells in the water. And of course, we got rid of the nimble fingers when we were making our way toward the mountain, because it just wasn't going to benefit us in any way. The Killer Mountain does not have any berry bushes to pick from, so the claw seemed like it was a better choice, and so far it has served us pretty well. We haven't really had to worry too much about the balance bears because we've been able to take them out so easily. Now Fawn is still going to run as fast as she can, or hop maybe, with her frog toes after her daughter. And then I think all we have left are Nip and Nettle, who are watching as their son starts making his way down the shore. I mean, this is Nip's last day too, so why don't we bring him down here so he can at least be with his son? He'll finish off that pathway that they were trying so desperately to make, so that we can have them spend one last day together right by the ocean water. Nettle could probably jump way over here too to light up the way for everybody and to shovel out a little bit more of that snow as well, so that they're at least all together as we pass the day, because I'm pretty sure that's all of the safe moves that we can make. So at this point, we don't have to worry about the food supplies because we have just enough to take care of everybody on the island. But if we do start to dip below the amount that would be safe for us to pass the day with, then I think what we'll do is we'll change all of the creatures who are staying behind into omegas. And then we'll make sure that our creatures who are leaving for the Killer Island are either betas or alphas. That way they would have the first picks of all of the food, and we wouldn't have to worry about them taking a hit on their lifespans before they leave. But for now, let's zoom out to make sure that nothing crazy happens with any of our creatures. We want to keep our eyes out for those balance bears. It doesn't look like the snow is melting either, which is a little bit unfortunate, but Nip did pass away right next to his son and right next to his mate. And it does look like, yet again, we're having trouble with the cold. So I guess it is going to take that extra day for him to get over to these ports. And because of that, we're going to want to make sure that Nettle can sit right next to Blizzard to keep him warm, and we'll keep Topaz in the area too. That means that diving into the water for Lavender is going to be a little bit more risky than we were planning because she doesn't really have anyone to help her, but let's have her sneak in here a little bit just to see if there's any fish right around these little kelp patches. So far it doesn't look like it though. We only have the crabbits. I mean, she could come over here. Oh, it's actually not going to look at her? Okay, she's being very, very sneaky. Maybe she can take it out. Oh, there we go. We can actually pick that up on the next turn. Excellent. So you are also becoming a very, very apt crabbit hunter, which should certainly help us on the Killer Island. Now, Kindle, despite the fact that he's getting a little bit cold, could scoot over here just to take care of these crabbits again. There we go. Doe can actually harvest the meat right away, so he was able to take that one out all on his own. Now, unfortunately, I think we are going to have to start leaving Kindle. I hate to leave him in the water, especially as he's starting to get cold again, but it would be a good idea to move these creatures a little bit closer to the ports. So Doe is going to skip her way around Thorn, and we'll have them all huddled together too, just to make sure that they're all safe and sound. Mother Fawn isn't going to abandon her baby though, so don't worry. If Kindle does end up freezing on this turn, then we'll definitely have Fawn make her way. Oh, wait a second. Oh no, this is her last day. Oh gosh, that means that if Kindle does end up freezing, she's not going to be able to do anything about it. I mean, talk about hardship. We knew that the Killer Mountain was going to be very, very hard to survive on, but we just need to keep in mind our priorities right now. Despite the fact that Kindle is probably going to end up freezing out here and taking a little bit of damage, we really need to make sure that our strong creatures that we're moving on with are really going to be kept safe at all times. So let's just keep looking forward, I guess. There's no going back now. Rala, you might as well travel with this group, especially because she can hide pretty well from the bunnies too. So if we could only get a couple of them to spawn out here in the snow somewhere, and honestly, they might be here and I might just be missing them. Oh, wait a second, Daisy, you're okay now. You can actually chase after our little walrus deer. Why don't we send you off in this direction to try to bring it closer to one of our groups? I guess it's going to end up being this one over here. That's going to be very, very tricky though. At least he's making a pathway. Since she can actually move again though, let's actually move her into the hot spring, and I think I see a tiny little bunny sitting in the water too. Oh, you must be just as cold as us. Hopefully you don't mind sharing this place. Oh, if only she had that extra turn, she could at least swipe up the bunny, but we're going to have to leave him right there as we steal his nice toasty warm bath. And likewise, Violet, you are looking very, very warm down here, but your father has seen better days, and so has Nip the Second. So we could bring her back to warm them up, but first I want to make sure that there's nothing that we can dig up around the area. Yeah, there's still nothing that I can see. So until it warms up, I guess you are actually going to have to make your way back. Let's have you scoot over here just to take care of your father and your little brother, and you might as well scoop up the nest too so that somebody else can use that. It's a little bit sad that we have, of course, the skeleton of Nip's mother right underneath him, but hopefully he'll be able to at least move on the next turn. And then we'd best start bringing our snowy family up the rest of the mountain. So start digging out that snow so that we don't lose track of you guys, because if we sit you inside those tiles, we're not going to be able to see you anymore. How about any roots up here? We haven't gone digging up on the top of the mountain in quite a while. Nope, still nothing. Still no tasty roots to dig up, and no bunnies over here either. So food is definitely very, very scarce at the moment. That is quite worrying, but I guess we're ready to pass the day because it looks like we have used up all of our safe turns. We're going to keep Fawn right next to her little baby doe as she watches with a very concerned eye over Kindle, who hopefully is not going to freeze tonight. Does he look okay? I think he actually is. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness, Kindle. So you can actually make your way back over here toward your brother and Doe as they hopefully make their way to the ports. Can we actually get to the Killer Island with our 5 pieces of food? I mean, that would be just enough for us to at least survive for one night, and then we can figure out what we're going to do from there. So Blizzard, hop your way right over to the Killer Ports, and then Topaz could actually follow you right behind. Thankfully, we won't have to worry about the cold anymore either as soon as they get there. I think we might actually be able to set everybody up on these ports on this turn. Let's bring a Thorn over to this side, and then Doe can hopefully follow him. And now it's just our leader, Lavender, waiting. Let's have her pick up her food, of course, and then scoot right up this way, so she can hopefully click on this tile to take us over to the new island. So thankfully, we have 9 pieces of food now. Let's just make sure that there's not anything else that we could possibly hunt down before we leave. It really is such a bummer that Daisy wasn't able to take down the very first walrus deer that we've ever seen on this island. At the very least though, she can keep chasing it around and we can land 1 good blow on this guy, or even 2. But that is going to be the extent of her hunting because there's nothing else in the area with all of the snow. And likewise, you guys, I mean, at least little Nip the Second can finally take his first steps. So we can start carving a pathway through all of the snow because of course Violet is going to need to reunite with the rest of the tribe. The mountain was going to be left in her claws because she does have that lovely digging trunk that would help them gather a whole bunch of food, but now she has gotten herself so secluded out here that it is quite hard for her to make her way back. Do we actually have something to gather up here? Oh no, only one of those twig bushes again. Oh my goodness, I thought that that was something that we could eat, but unfortunately it's just a twig bush. bush. It seems like that is officially all of the food that we're going to be able to find though. I don't see any other little bunnies or crabbits that we can really attack at, especially because the crabbits require 2 people to take care of them properly. So let's just have Nettle come over here and sit next to these ports as she watches her one and only son depart. We'll also want to make sure that we of course change our Queen Lavender over to her alpha rank, and before we leave we will also give Violet her alpha rank too, so that we know that she has been crowned the queen of this island. So you can be the alpha over here as we leave for the killer island, and cross our fingers that we can find some sort of food sources very, very early on. Hopefully there will be some berry bushes, plenty of berry bushes from Doe to gather from, and then maybe even some little roots for Topaz to dig up too. Blizzard, on the other hand, would surely prefer to sink his claws into some nice carnivore meat, or even some of the bunnies if we can find them. So why don't we have Lavender use her very last turn to travel to the next island for us, and I'll see you guys as soon as we get there. Well guys, here we are, and this is certainly not what I was expecting to see on this island. I guess we're in a desert now? Look at all of these desert tiles. We just have a couple of these little tiny grasslands tiles in here mixed in. I don't know if we're going to find any berry bushes after all, so hopefully Doe can find something to eat other than the cactus plants, because that is going to harm her. But we do have a little patch of kelp down here, so at least Lavender's efforts are not going to be in vain. She should be able to find some fish for her to gather up pretty soon. We even have a little stream down here too. Hopefully she can find some fish inside the waterfall to gather up for us as well. She does have a very, very high fishing skill thanks to her double claws, so I think she could scoop up pretty much any fish that we find. But it is so warm here. These creatures are going to be shocked, because of course all they really know is the cold mountain air. That might actually end up being a bit of a hindrance for us, because we have our cold resistance so high that they're going to have trouble if the temperatures do continue to rise. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. We'll have to see if they start losing energy by overheating. Let's bring Doe a little bit out further though, so she can try to find something to eat. I don't even smell anything yet, so let's at least have you move to the beach. Blizzard should be able to follow you too. He can go right over here inside this one little tiny patch of grass, and hopefully that's far enough to smell something. Well, we do have a nice tasty root here, so that will at least tie us over for one extra day. Oh my goodness, what is this? Oh, I think that's one of the desert berry bushes, right? Well, at least it's something. At least it'll help sustain us a little bit, but let's skip our very first day on the killer island and see if anything is going to rush out at us. That is the first question. No carnivores yet. That's good to see, but we can bring a Doe around this way to hopefully pick up all of these nice juicy berries. How long has it been since our creatures last enjoyed the berry bushes? In all honesty, I don't think the berries were even part of any of these creatures' diets, so they are in for quite a shock. It is probably a very, very sweet treat. Now I think if we bring Topaz up this way, we should be able to dig up this nice tasty root, our very first tasty root of the new island. I'm going to wait a little bit longer before we start breeding our creatures though, just because we are so low on food. We need to find a couple more food sources before I'll feel safe bringing in new babies. I suppose we should have Lavender investigate the water first, since that was her mission. Let's bring her down way over here. There we go, so we can find some fish. Finally, your very first fish, Lavender. So she can already count this move as a success. Let's bring her over this way too. I suppose we could just have her make her way down the water, move through all of these waves and whatnot. Thorn, on the other hand, just like when they were still on the mountain island, is probably going to choose to follow after Doe, just to make sure that she's kept safe, because he knows that she's not exactly the strongest creature in the tribe, so he can move a little bit further ahead to sniff around and see if they can find any more sources of food. Even Blizzard can't find any more berry bushes as he charges off on his own, so let's go ahead and skip the day again and see if maybe we could find some bunnies out there somewhere. I hope maybe we have some burrows in these tiny little patches of grass, but I'm wondering if these are actually like desert tiles too? It really seems like it, because the bottoms of them are colored just like the desert. We also have these glitchy little snowy ports over on this side as well, so we'll have to make sure that we stay away from that. It looks a little bit ominous. It's good to see that shells are spawning in the water though, so now might be a good time for us to turn our attentions over to Doe again. Let's have her pick up a couple of these berries so we have the extra food, just enough to sustain one more baby on the island so we can hopefully get one. Fingers crossed with those nimble fingers. Let's bring a Thorn right over here to breed with her, and then she should be able to set down a nest, and then we'll make sure that we place the nimble fingers right in the 30% slot. This is kind of going to be like the joining of our warrior and our gathering line too, so maybe they're hoping that the balanced sisters will watch after them. Oh my gosh, for that matter, they're making a nest right along the shore too, which is exactly where our balanced sisters were born. Oh, if only they could pick up some shells, then they could offer it to the balanced sisters. A little offering so they'll hopefully bless their babies with the nimble fingers. Quicksand and Seafoam did spend their entire lives gathering up shells along the shore, so that would be perfect, but for now they can at least offer a couple of berries instead. And let's have Topaz start making her way deeper into the grass too, because we want to try to find those tasty roots again. And yeah, this grass is so hard to see through. I guess we're going to have to pick it up. I guess that is going to be the first order of business here. We'll pick up all of this grass so we can at least see what we're doing and hopefully sniff out some extra things to dig up in the process. Lavender, I do want you to have a baby as well, but I'm a little bit concerned about the food situation, so let's move you down this way. Oh, a leech. If we could have her pick up the leech, at least that would be one piece of food, but she doesn't have anybody to pick it off of her, so let's just remember that that's right there. Oh, we have a lot of leeches, and I think one did jump on her. Oh no, Lavender. We'll come up to the shore, okay? Because we'll have Blizzard pick that off of you on the next turn instead. And then I suppose that Thorn could make his way down here too to clear out the area a little bit, just to light up the way toward this waterfall, because that might be the next place for Lavender to investigate. So let's skip the day and see if hopefully this baby has been touched by our balanced sisters. Oh no, it doesn't look like it, but instead... Oh my goodness, the digging trunk! We managed to pull the digging trunk out of their genetics. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. So Thorn did have the digging trunk, and we brought Doe along with us because she had that in her genetics as well as the Megaloceros horns. And let's see, yeah, it does look like this baby has indeed inherited the Megaloceros horns as well, so maybe we could even bring that out again too. I did hear poor little Lavender get hurt as well, and since she already lost a little bit of her lifespan from the leeches on the last island, she is also going to have to start her family very, very soon. But first, I think we'll name this little baby Heart to go right alongside his mother and his grandmother, of course. Heart is a name that could be used for a male deer, so I think that's quite fitting for him. Now let's have Doe go ahead and gather up a little bit more of these berries. There's only one left on that bush because, of course, in the desert, the berries don't grow back very quickly. Lavender, you're going to want to scoot up here so Blizzard can take that leech off of you, but we're still missing food. We're 2 pieces away from feeding everybody tonight, so we need to find something else to eat. Oh, good. I can smell another tasty root, so we can have Topaz come over here and dig that up for us at least. And now we just need one more piece of food to feed our baby. Oh dear. Well, it looks like we have stumbled into our very first cactus plant, but of course this is going to hurt us if we end up picking from it. Unfortunately, Thorn doesn't even have a high enough ability to collect, and I'm not sure if we're going to get any food if we swipe it away like with the regular berry bushes. So if we swipe it away, then we are losing off on 3 potential pieces of food, even though it would harm our creatures in the process. We might actually want to leave that right there and maybe bring like Doe and her family over to gather from it instead. But unfortunately, that is all of the safe moves that we can make for today, so somebody is going to have to go without. Somebody is not going to be able to eat on this turn. Luckily, Lavender is not going to lose any more of her lifespan because she is our alpha, but one of the others is going to have to give up their food for the night. Oh, Blizzard, you decided to sacrifice yourself so that your alpha could have her food. That is too cute. We were actually hoping that they could possibly start a family together too, since their immunity genes are completely different, but now doesn't really seem like the most opportune moment. The one silver lining is that the bird is not in our skies just yet, so we can actually have the baby scoot a little bit further away from the nest. There we go. And then maybe we could have Thorn come down here and try to pick up one of these leeches again. Yeah, excellent. So we at least found one, and he can come over here and have his mate pick that off. But that's still only 2 pieces of food. Oh my goodness, you guys. I was not expecting this place to be quite so barren, and I'm a little bit worried that we may have doomed our creatures to extinction because of it. All we can really do is skip the day again and see what happens. The best situation would be, oh my gosh, this right here, if one of the carnivores comes out and says hello, because at least this guy will give us 10 pieces of food, which should certainly help us sustain us in the future. So Lavender, with your 7 in strength, you should be able to take care of the carnivore all by yourself. But now we need somebody to rush over here to pick up the food for us. Oh, thank goodness. So we are actually, I'm going to have enough food to survive this day. And that means that on the next day, because, I mean, we take so much damage when we end up starving, we're going to have our creatures breed again as soon as possible. So let's sniff around too to make sure that there's no more carnivores out here. No, I don't see any, unfortunately. Like the one time that we actually want carnivores to spawn. So pick some berries, Doe, and then breed with your mate again, because we need to try one more time to hopefully get a nimble-fingered baby. If we have somebody with the ability to pick up these shells down here, then we will be absolutely golden. So let's skip the day again and see if this one is going to be our savior. Well, I mean, almost. We did get some rain, surprisingly, in the desert, and yes! Oh my gosh, he actually does have the nimble fingers. Is that true? He is literally our little savior. So once he grows up, he should be able to make his way into the water and at least pick up these shells for us. So all is not lost. And we can definitely pick up as many of these berries as we can carry right now. As many as we can possibly carry just to sustain all of our creatures overnight. Oh my goodness, guys, I was getting very, very worried there for a little while. I thought I completely ruined our entire tribe by bringing us to this crazy island. Honestly, I assumed that this would all be grasslands because that was how I remembered the Killer Island in previous versions. But this is much, much harder than I was ever anticipating for our poor little critters. He looks so majestic too, this little guy. Let's name him Stag to go right alongside all of his other family members, and he is going to help us so much as we're trying to survive on this island. So now that we know that we'll at least have some way to gather up food for our poor creatures in the future, in the next episode what we'll do is we'll make sure that Lavender can have one of her babies, and Blizzard too. Oh my gosh. Look how much damage he took just by trying to save his queen, by making sure that she would be able to eat despite the fact that she was so injured already. He has been very, very selfless, and hopefully we're going to find some more of those carnivores too. I mean, that basically saved us right there too. That unsuspecting carnivore that stumbled out of the darkness. If we can find some more to attack, because clearly that is what we were meant for, with all of our big strong claws and our ram horns, then we might just be able to salvage this island after all. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!